A lot of people are saying eat no meat. And
Right.
there is some data to say, well, acidic load is something we need to look at, especially in highly toxic people, let's say, they already have high acidity and are eating a little poorer quality of all this. Then you add a lot of meat, you could actually raise the acidic load. Can you touch on that?
Yeah, so I've talked to a lot of optimal carnivores, and I've had them test their serum bicarbs, and their serum bicarbonate is the level of a 60-year-old. And so just from that perspective, I have confirmed from publications of mine as well on acidosis that this is a real phenomenon. And you can't argue with physiology. So essentially, in order to, a lot of people argue, well, you can just breathe quicker and blow off acid. And that's true, that you can get rid of acid through breathing, but there's a cost. You have to deplete one molecule of bicarbonate in order to excrete one molecule of hydrogen. So you can get rid of acid in the blood by breathing more, but you drop your bicarbonate stores. And the second thing that you can't argue around physiology is that the kidney has a limited capacity for excreting acid before there is retention. And that capacity is essentially 40 to 70 milliequivalents of acid. And a carnivore diet on average is going to bring about 150 to 200 milliequivalents of acid. In other words, you are retaining 1 milliequivalent of acid for every 2.5 milliequivalents above that threshold for the kidneys. And so a lot of people don't believe in that you can make the body more alkaline or more acidic, but you absolutely can. And I have published 2 review papers on this topic. So I do know what I'm talking about when it comes to this topic, which a lot of people really don't know what they're talking about. And so what happens when you vigorously exercise is that the increase in lactate that occurs is actually due to the increase in acid in the cell. The lactate's actually a good molecule. It's pulling acid out of the cell and it's being utilized as a fuel. So if you can inhibit acidosis prior to performance, it's called hitting peak alkalosis. You can also dramatically improve performance.
Yeah, really fascinating. And, one of the things you mentioned there, you mentioned that 60, year age there. And I was really surprised to read between 20 and 60, a person's metabolic rate should stay relatively stable. And yet so many of us start to see as we age even past 30 or 40, that the metabolic rate actually goes much lower for us. And you talk about the culprits aren't age, it's things like chronic stress and overconsumption of the processed foods in a sedentary lifestyle. So let's flip the coin. If we know that there are these things like, more stress in our lives and everything that are causing that reduction and actually causing you to gain weight over time, what are the ways we can increase that metabolic rate as we age and help in weight loss?
The easiest thing to do would be to eliminate the refined carbohydrates and sugars, which a lot of people understand now, and also eliminating those seed oils too. Anything that's going to damage the mitochondria and your ability to produce ATP is going to inhibit your metabolism. And simply from a micronutrient perspective as well, we need sodium, we need iodine, we need selenium for thyroid hormone function, which controls metabolism and basal metabolic rates. So increasing your micronutrient intake is super important as well. And from that perspective, sunlight also determines metabolism, and sleep and all the things we've talked about. Exercise, building muscle is one of the best ways to increase basal metabolic rate and to burn fat, because you essentially burn like 2.5 times the amount of energy when you're comparing muscle to fat. So and this is why it's so simple for people to lose weight when they start building muscle, targeting protein, and eliminating junk food. Those 3 things will really turn around a lot of people's metabolism.
And it really is that simple, right? There's no there's no pickle juice type thing for this. It is the fundamentals of being healthy almost impact all of these different areas.